Hey, it's Sharon Sheldon here, and I want to try something a little bit different using a mind map to go through some of the frequently asked questions about white label training programs. I'm going to go through some of the frequently asked questions, and then I'll also put these in a document so you can look through them yourself. Let's get started. So let's start with just what does white label mean? White label program is unbranded. So it can be edited and transformed into other media. But it's also ready to deliver and sell to clients. So you can edit it, you can deliver and sell it, you can put your own brand on it, very similar to PLR, which we'll talk about in a second. So what can you do exactly with a white label training program? You can learn from it yourself. You can teach it to others and do that in different media, different formats. You can sell it for profit, again, in different formats like an ebook or an e-course or video series or in a membership site, things like that. You can use it for lead generation. So for instance, you could do a free webinar that people have to sign up for. So you're basically getting paid with an email. So that's your lead. You can also use it though to train your team or some outsourcers. So there's a lot of different uses there. Now, how is white label different from PLR or private label rights? It is very similar, but often white label products might be a little bit higher end and maybe a more finished product that's ready to use. But everybody has different terminology and license rules. You're going to have to take a look closely to see what the differences are. Then people often ask, do I need to rewrite white label content or private label rights? Very similar. And this is your choice whether to rewrite it or not. Depending on how you are using it, you don't necessarily have to rewrite it at all. But for web published content, you may want to rewrite it if you're planning to rank in the search engines because it'll help you rank more easily. But adding value to the content is even more important for ranking or for anything. Now, I use the word participants in the white label programs, and people ask, what do I mean by the word participants? Well, a participant is someone who engages actively in their learning. And let me move this over a bit so you can see the full answer. A participant is someone who takes responsibility for their learning versus sitting back and listening. And a lot of times people use the word learner, but that really implies a more passive role. We want people to be active participants. Which brings us to, what do you mean by the word facilitator? Now, you're facilitating people's learning when they're active participants. You can't force them to learn or simply teach them by drilling in a concept. However, you can facilitate their learning process by giving them the knowledge and the tools they need to be successful, which is why we provide all different tools in these programs. A very common question people ask is, what's the best way to deliver my new training program? And that's going to depend. It depends on your audience and what you're comfortable with. You could be delivering it in a synchronous way, such as in a classroom, live webinar, or teleseminar, or asynchronous, which is a video or recorded webinar, ebook, or email series, something where you're not doing it at the same time, teaching it at the same time that people are learning or participating in it. There are some more guidelines actually in one of the documents you'll get on top ways to deliver your program. There's some guidelines on how to decide what's best for your audience, which brings us to the next one, which is, how can I decide what's best for my audience? There are 4 typical things you'll look at, and there's more in that document I told you about. One is learning styles. What's the best way or that your particular market learns, whether it's through video or audio or live classroom or reading or some combination. Location, so where is your audience located? Are they all over the globe? Are they in one small area, like locally, which is often conducive to a local seminar? How much time do they have available? Are these people on very, very tight time schedules who just cannot take out a whole day or need things in very small chunks? What kind of technology is available to them? what kind of internet access do they have? How comfortable are they with technology? Some people are going to be much better off in a live classroom session because they're not comfortable on a computer, and that can work the other way around too. So you're going to need to think about who you're teaching this to decide what is the best way to deliver it. How do I set up my new training program? Another common question, and again, it's going to depend on the way you're delivering it. There are some guidelines in the facilitator guide that you'll get, but if you're promoting to sell, you will definitely need a sales funnel as part of your setup. A sales funnel, for that you would need a giveaway, so some sort of gift to bribe people to sign up for your list. Don't like to use the word bribe, but it's basically you're giving them something in exchange for their email. So that's your lead. And to have that, you'll also need a website, ideally. It can be HTML, which if you have a developer who can do that, or WordPress, which is the easiest thing that most people use. But you need a place to publish your own content, and free sites are not really the best way to do that, since then someone else owns the content and not you. Again, for promoting, you need some basic sales funnel pages. A squeeze page, this is where you would put your little form for getting people's emails, and then you send them a thank you page. You send them over to a thank you page, and they go and confirm their email, where you send them to a download page to get their giveaway. And then you'll also need a sales page for the course itself, where people can pay for it. And finally, an actual download page, or if you're doing something live, a place where they'd register after they've paid. So this is all training that I can point to in different directions too. There's full training programs on putting together sales funnels. But you'll also need an autoresponder service like Aweber or GetResponse. And that's where you'll need to put in an email series so that you can build a relationship with people, both after they've given something away, where they're just a prospect, and after they've become a customer, to continue to build the relationship. So those are important things that everyone should have. If you're just teaching this as something like a local course, it's something you should still aim to do, because your email list, that autoresponder series, is going to be one of the biggest assets in your business, no matter how you're delivering this training. So again, there's more guidelines in the facilitator guide on that. It's hard to answer it all here. What tools do I need to deliver the training? Well, again, depends on how you're delivering it, but here's some examples. So for webinars, you'll need a headset, computer, some sort of Microsoft Office or the equivalent like OpenOffice, and a webinar service, or you can use Google Hangouts on Air, Google Plus Hangouts on Air, which is something I've done. And again, that's free, which is terrific, of course. For a classroom, if you're doing a classroom session, you'll need access to a place to actually teach it, so a venue. Again, you'll need a computer, which is pretty much standard, a projector for showing your slides onto some sort of screen, and the usual classroom tools, paper, maybe some name tags, markers, a flip chart so you can facilitate some of the exercises. Ideally, you'd have some sort of breakout rooms, tables, stuff like that. If you're putting it into video format and you're using the slides, you'll need screen capture software, something like Camtasia or Snagit. There are some free ones, but they have a time limit on how long you can record, so they're not always so great. If you're on the Mac, I think there's something free. Or you need the ability to record from your slide software. So for instance, PowerPoint 2010, you can narrate everything and then just record it as a video. You don't need any screen capture software. You'll also need a place to host your videos, so you could put them on YouTube, or you may want to host them somewhere else like Amazon S3. You need a headset, preferably, or other microphone. Then ideally you'd have some video editing software, or you can outsource that kind of thing, the video editing. It's a good thing to learn the basics yourself if possible. If you're delivering it, this is an e-course via email. Again, you need the autoresponder service, something like an Aweber, so you can deliver those emails. Again, you need Microsoft Office or the equivalent so you can actually create the documents. And you'll need a PDF converter so that anything that you're sending as an attachment can be converted to PDF. If you're using Microsoft Word, all you have to do is save it as a PDF. For an ebook, Microsoft Office or equivalent, so there's lots of different programs, a PDF converter again, and again you can just do that from Word, and a place to host your ebook for delivery because you really don't want to just have to send that to people. What skills do I need to deliver the training? Now there's really nothing specific that you need. You should start where you're comfortable. Everybody has the basic skills for doing some of this, for teaching something. But then once you've started with what you're comfortable with, whether it's writing, sending something in print, or delivering it live or video, you want to move beyond your comfort zone and try out some other skills. Be willing to learn and try out different skills. Everyone started from scratch somewhere. Very common question is, how much will I have to spend beyond the cost of the program? Now, I can't give you specific numbers here, but there are a few things that you'll probably need, and then some optional things. You'll need hosting. If you're going to have a website, you need something called a hosting service where everything is hosted. So something like HostGator or Site5 or Namecheap or Liquid Web. There's so many different hosting services. You'll need to do your research and figure out which one is best for you. And they start at maybe as cheap as $3.99 a month. Domain registration is something where you're registering the name of your website. So I use namecheap.com for that. And again, that's very cheap. It's a yearly fee. I think the cheapest is maybe $10 for the year. You can't go wrong with that. Autoresponder service, I use Aweber. There are other ones. Again, this is the service that'll send out your emails where you can schedule emails far in advance, a whole series of them. I use Aweber. I think it starts at around, I think you can start for a month for $1, but I think the cheapest is around $19 a month. Your computer, spend as much as you want, obviously. Microsoft Office or equivalent, you can get OpenOffice.org on the PC, and on the Mac, I think, which is free. I prefer to use Microsoft Office for everything. It just has so many features. It's easy. I would say the majority of people use it, and that's why I have everything in that format. But you can open it in other formats as well, and other programs. Then you'll need some sort of shopping cart software. This can be paid or free. I use PayPal for my payment buttons, but I do have software I use as well. You can use ClickBank, JVZoo. Again, this requires some research to see which one works best for your business. Most other things are optional or have a free alternative. So your microphone or headset may be built into your computer. That's not the best way to deliver anything where you're recording. Better to have a camera or a microphone, something better than that, with better quality. A webinar service, so if you're doing regular webinars, you might want to get something like GoToWebinar, which is a paid monthly fee. Or, as I said before, you could use Google Hangouts on Air. Video editing software, I use Camtasia. If you're on the Mac, a lot of people use the free software there. Or, again, outsource. Video camera, that's useful if you're going to do any sort of face-to-face video. And of course, you can outsource any number of things. Okay, I just have a few more here. The next one is, can I use my white label training program in conjunction with other white label or PLR content? The short answer is yes. It's completely editable. You can use it in conjunction with anything else that you've written or you have the rights to use. Can you get a refund if it doesn't work for you? Most programs do have some sort of guarantee where you can get a full or partial refund within a certain time frame. It might be just 7 days, so you should download it and look at it immediately. And that's to protect the value of your content. If it were a very long guarantee, then people could just buy it and use it and then ask for a refund, which is not ideal for anyone. Why would I use white label content as opposed to writing it myself? There's a big reason for this, and that is it'll save you time by not starting from scratch. And that is probably the biggest reason people buy white label content. For ours, it's also designed by professional instructional designers. It's extensively researched. We use expert writers to actually write and develop the content, and it is a complete product, so you don't have to do any more work. You can just deliver it. Everything's there for you. All you really need to do is provide your own style and maybe customize it a bit to your market since it's generic. For people that are teaching maybe in a company, they ask the question, can all the trainers and coaches in my company teach this program? You cannot share it with other coaches, trainers, or marketers. This is a single trainer license. This is for you to use and teach to people, not to have everyone, say all the trainers in your organization teaching it. You'd have to buy an additional license for each person. Is there any limit to how many people I can teach using the program? There is no per seat or per user license limit. With a lot of programs, you have to pay based on the number of people you're teaching to. This you can teach to as many people as you want. As I said before, it's a single trainer license. And the last FAQ for now is, can I request the creation of specific white label content? The answer is we love to hear from our customers. Tell us what topics you'd like. Tell us the features you'd like. And if there's enough demand, we'll create it. If there's changes you want done, things you don't like, we want to hear about it. So I hope that helps. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. You can just email me at the contact link at the bottom of any of our pages, and I'll add your question to our list. Thanks.